So listen, that's how I wake up every morning. I got a different beat on my alarm clock. I wake up, just start freestyling. No, I'm joking. But listen, it's awesome to be here with all of you guys this afternoon. My name is Kevin, or Mr. Peace, and I get to travel all over the country. I have a great job, awesome job, where I'm able to travel the whole U.S., and I get to speak to people from age 5 up to age 95. And before I begin any of my talks, before I start speaking to any of my audiences, I just like to let you guys know that every single breath that I take this afternoon is going to be worth your time. It was about 3 years ago, and a friend of mine was at a Coney Island restaurant. You guys ever been to a Coney Island? Okay. So a Coney Island's like where you can order, obviously, Coney's, but just pretty much any type of food you want, burgers, fries, right? So my friend gets there. I always get chicken finger pita, cider ranch. Anybody? Those are good. But my friend gets there, guys, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so about an hour after now. And he beats the lunch rush. And he just got off work. And he just wanted to be left alone. He was tired, right? So he sits up by one of the bar stools, like on the counter. And he's the only one in the restaurant. It said, "Please be seated." And he sits down, only the wait staff and the cooks are there. About 10 minutes later, this total stranger walks in. And this guy could sit at any other booth, any other table, any other stool down the way, but he chooses to sit right next to my friend. And in my friend's mind, he didn't say this to the guy, but he's thinking to himself, like, couldn't you have just sat somewhere else, right? But then the guy, for the next 45 minutes to an hour, which is the amount of time I have with you guys today, for the next 45 minutes, he just starts to unload. And he says that he just left the doctor's office, and something inside of him led him to just get into his car and start driving, and randomly pull into this parking lot, randomly walk into this Coney Island, and just randomly sit next to my friend. And so 45 minutes, this guy just unloads his heart and tells him that he just left the doctor's office because he was just diagnosed with terminal cancer. He has under 6 months to live. He's 38 years old. He's got a house in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, one of the most wealthy cities in the U.S., a mansion. He's a multi-millionaire computer company from the ground up, right out of high school. He's got a house that overlooks the Pacific Ocean in California. He's got cars, boats, all this stuff that he's sacrificed weekends for, worked weekends for, worked vacations for, worked 20-hour days for, to build all this wealth, just to be told he has under 6 months to enjoy it. But also under 6 months to try and make things right with people that he bullied to get ahead along the way. Because you see, the way that he succeeded, the way that he moved ahead, is he crushed other people's spirits in the process. He stomped on other people's hearts to get ahead. And it started in middle school, continued into high school, and beyond, only to be told he has under 6 months to try and make things right to people that he's hurt. So my friend goes to leave the Coney Island. He gets into his car. He puts it in reverse, and he throws it back in park. And his head just hits the steering wheel, and he starts crying. Because he realized that this total stranger, in 30 minutes' time, had a greater impact on his heart, on his life, than people that he's known over 30 years. Guys, the biggest reason that I drive 7-8 hours sometimes to be with a group like you, or take a flight at 2 or 3 in the morning out to Cali or out east to speak to youth your age or older, is to let all of you know that you have that same power. And sometimes it doesn't even take 30 minutes, not even 5 minutes. Sometimes, guys, it's just a smile. I got a friend of mine named Deb. She's 50 years old. And back in high school, there was this girl, this popular girl, like the head goose, like she'd walk and have like a flying V behind her, right? She was that popular, that pretty. And my friend Deb was kind of average. But she made it her job every day that they passed in the hallways to smile at her. Senior year comes and they pass out senior pictures. And usually the way you do it is you put them on a table, you kind of, like they're trading cards or like Pokemon cards, you say, okay, I'll take that one, I'll take that one. But that's not how she got one from this girl. She was walking in the hallway, and this pretty girl shook her hand in my friend Deb's face with this picture and said, here, just take it. And she took it. It was a senior picture with the girl's face on it. She put it in her pocket. She got home that night and took it out, turned it over. On the back it said, your smile saved me. Your smile saved me. You have no idea how many storms I've been going through these last 4 years. Problems at home with my parents fighting. And I can't tell you how many times I put on a fake smile and walked in these doors when behind closed doors I was just pretending that what was going on wasn't happening. But just thinking about maybe seeing your smile is what gave me hope. Guys, I had a 7th grader named Taylor. Where are my 7th graders at? Nice to see you guys, hands down. 7th grader named Taylor, she said, Mr. Peace, I sent a text message to my friend last night about 12:30 in the morning. He moved to Alabama about 4 months ago. And she got a text right back, and he said, do you know what you just did? She said, what are you talking about? He said, you saved me. He said that ever since he moved down there, he's been getting bullied nonstop. He hasn't fit in once. He actually was getting to the point of having thoughts of checking out. And he got this text from his friend, and that's what kept him going. That's what gave him the hope, guys. And all of you have that same power. Everyone go like this real quick. All right, now go like this. No, don't do that. But listen, this right here, guys, your fist is as big as your heart, right? Unless you're the Grinch who stole Christmas, right? And then it kind of depends at different times in the movie. But listen, this is your heart. But the idea is that if we allow it to happen, that we turn this into this. And the reason that it's 2, this peace sign, is because that's all it takes, guys, 2 seconds. And you can either empower somebody, encourage them higher than the clouds, or you can destroy them by something you say or do, something that leaves a scar on their heart for the rest of their lives. And the reason it's 2 as well is because one finger is yourself, and one is somebody that you're trying to lift up even higher than yourself, if you choose that, right? You see, these bracelets, I pick about 10 or 12 to put on before all my talks. And I have hundreds of these, if not thousands. I took a bag with me today. After all my talks, I get people that come up to me, they say, hey, Mr. Peace, thanks for being here today. Thanks for touching my heart. And I get a lot more people that come up to me, your age, 3rd, 4th grade, older, that say, Mr. Peace, if you didn't come today, I might not be here tomorrow. I was just talking at a middle school, and this kid came up to me after my talk, same topic as today, anti-bullying, but it's a lot more than that. He came up to me and said, Mr. Peace, before you came today, I thought I was a mistake. He said, I thought I was worthless, that I didn't mean anything. And I might not have even seen the light of tomorrow, Mr. Peace. Because look on your palms, guys. Every one of you guys has an M, the letter M, etched on your palms. Every one of you guys has the letter M etched on your palms, at least one of them. This M stands for Michigan. No, I'm joking. That's where I'm from. But listen, this M, I'm in Buckeye country, I know that. But listen, this M stands for miracle. Upside down, a W, stands for worthy. But see, we got to believe that. And look, I spoke at a school, a middle school in Michigan, same topic. I came back 2 weeks later for the 8th grade graduation ceremony. And at the end of the ceremony, there was a part where the parents could share what's on their hearts on the open mic. And this one mom got on the microphone, and she could barely stand up. They had to bring the microphone to her. And she had a cane. She could barely stand. And she said, I checked myself out of the hospital against doctor's orders. I wanted to be here tonight for my daughter, Julia. It really meant a lot to me to be here, to support her. And she didn't even know that I was there in the back, but she said, I just want to thank Mr. Peace for saving her life. Because the day that I spoke, Julie came home, she went in her room, a 7th grader, now 8th. And she came out and she had a letter that was saying that she may not be here tomorrow. And she tore it up in front of her mom and gave her a hug. I told the same story at a high school in Livonia, Michigan, near Detroit. 11th grader said, "Mr. Peace, I'm going to tear mine up tonight too," and gave me a hug at lunchtime. I had a 7th grader tell me, "Mr. Peace, I got a whole journal full of those. I'm going to burn them tonight." See, guys, all of us have this power. And this talk today, it's about bullying. Bullying can be physical. You can punch somebody, kick somebody, right? It can be verbal, something we say. It could be something that we text or tweet or DM or comment on. It could be where you just exclude somebody. They can't be in your group. They can't sit by you. Sometimes just how you look at somebody is a form of bullying, right? But for it to be bullying, it's got to be over and over and over and over again on purpose to get power over somebody. I had a 5-year-old come up to me, a kindergartner, a couple months ago. He said, "Hey, Mr. Peace, you won't believe it. I'm getting bullied." I said, "When did it start?" He said, 10 minutes ago. I said, "Well, that's probably not bullying, but it's just as important." Because like I said before, sometimes just one action, one word, which is technically not bullying, can still leave the same type of impact on someone's heart for the rest of their life. And we choose that, guys. But why do you think it happens? Why does bullying happen? What do you think? Yeah. Because someone's different? Thanks so much. What's your name? Logan. Nice to meet you. Logan Street, isn't that what the school's off of too? All right. See that tie-in right there? What else? Why does bullying happen? Yeah. Jealousy. So if somebody has something that I don't have, like things or maybe like a skill or a talent, what were you going to say? Same thing? Okay. How about you? Because they were bullied. What's your name? Sam? Nice to meet you. So Sam just said because they were bullied, and guess what? The biggest reason that I see why people bully, put your hands down. The biggest reason I see, guys, is because hurt people hurt people. Hurt people hurt people. And what I mean by that is that the easy thing for me to do is that if I got bullied or teased or put down, and I'm feeling pain inside here, the easy thing to do is to push that off onto somebody else. But that's a choice. Can I get some volunteers real quick? A couple volunteers. I'll take you. Yeah, come on up here. I'll take, you. And I'll take you. Right there. You both can come up. Give a round of applause. Come on, too. All right, so look. Check this out. So I want you to hold this cup, okay? Face your audience. There you go. Okay. Can you hold this for me? I got you to hold this. All right. All right, good. Now, actually, let me switch with you. We're going to switch. Here you go. Switch there. All right, so looking, guys, listen. When we're born, right, goo goo gaga, right, when we're born, our hearts are like this empty cup. Like we're free of pain, haven't had hurt in our lives, any of that, right? Well, little by little, our hearts, as people are mean to us, painful things happen, our hearts start to get full. And what's going to happen if I keep filling this up? It's going to overflow, right? I had a first grader last week that said, "It's going to explode." I'm like, no, it's not. But, see, the idea, guys, is that if I keep filling this up, yes, it's going to overflow either onto ourselves, right, or onto somebody else. We see that too often in the news. And what happens to our hearts is they start to get cloudy. They kind of start to get a little dark, too, because of the pain. See? So listen, guys, here's the thing about this, that no matter how full our hearts get of pain, that there is always room for love, if you choose that. I said that hurt people, right? But it's also very true, if we choose to, that healed people heal people. Give these guys a round of applause. Can you guys stay up here, though? You guys can have a seat. Thank you. You're welcome. So listen, guys, check it. I want you guys to pretend. Hold this board for me. Come over here. Hold that for me. Thank you so much. Actually, I'll tell you what. You hold one end so it's a little bit easier. There we go. All right, so listen. I was speaking at elementary school, right? I have to hold it a little bit higher. Sorry. I know this is going to be a test of your physical capability, but we're in a gym, okay? So that's why we're doing this. No, so listen. You take one of these markers too? All right, come over here. So look, I'm at this elementary school. I want you guys just to pretend that this heart that I'm about to draw. All right, 1 second. We'll show all you guys in a minute. Okay. You guys can give it up for my heart. It's a pretty good heart. All right. So listen, I'm at this elementary school, and I tell everyone, pretend that this heart's your heart, right? So think about some time that somebody kind of beat you down, like verbally or physically or mentally, emotionally. You don't have to say it out loud. But just think about that one action. And that's like one mark on your heart, right? Now, if 5 people keep doing that same mean thing to you, keep saying the same mean thing to you every day for a month, that's like 5 marks. 5 people times 30 days in a month. 5 times 30? 150. 150 marks on your heart. So you're going to do 75, I'm going to do 75. Ready? Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 13, 27, 45, 57, 65. Here, I'll help you out. 72. Here, come here. Right here. All right. 89, 110, 120, 145, 156, 150. Okay, so remember, we got 150 marks on someone's heart. We don't have time to do them all, but you guys get the picture, and pretty soon, this heart becomes what 2 colors? Black and blue, the same color as bruises. Except these bruises you can't see. You can only feel these, right? So I had 2 6-year-olds come up to me after my assembly. They're in 1st grade, Danielle and Angelina. Thank you guys, 1 second. They came up to me and said, Mr. Peace, and the heart that I drew was like 4 times the size, completely colored in. But they said, Mr. Peace, our hearts look like this because we're getting bullied and teased and put down. And they're 1st graders, 6 years old. And I'm thinking to myself, what's their heart going to look like when they're in 4th grade, 7th grade, or beyond, right? But I come back 2 years later, they're in 3rd grade, and they come up to me, they say, Mr. Peace, we forgave the people that hurt us. We're showing them love, and we're doing okay. So they were hurt people, but even at a very young age, they chose to become healed people, to heal others. Give these guys a round of applause. You guys can have a seat. Thank you, guys. All right, so listen. My friend Irene Kopko. Everyone say Irene Kopko. Listen, Irene is 102 years old. 102. She just turned 102 February 15th. I was at her birthday party. We were kicking it, eating some cake. It was yummy. But listen, Irene, she still emails. I'm serious. She still emails. She doesn't do Instagram, Twitter, but she still emails. She's 102. And Irene, I'm talking to her about her life. I'm like, Irene, you're 102 years old. Like, tell me about your life. Tell me about the good times and the bad times and the glad times and the mad times and the other times that rhyme with ad. And then Irene's like, Mr. Peace, my most painful memory was over 90 years ago in 4th grade. Where my 4th graders at? Thanks, hands down. She was in 4th grade. She was at the front of the class. And this boy came up to her, and in front of the whole class, about 35, 40 students, he made fun of her. He teased her because of her height, because she was short. And it just cut her to the core. It just embarrassed her. She had like self-conscious issues growing up. And it wasn't bullying. That was one action. But Irene chose to be the better person, the bigger person. She became a social worker for over 40 years to help people that were feeling how she felt. I got a friend of mine in his 30s, and it was his buddy's job when they were in 5th grade. Where my 5th graders at? Okay, hands down. They were in 5th grade, and at this school, 5th grade was the last grade at the elementary school, right? And so listen, their job every day for 1 year straight, they put down this kid who sat alone at lunch. They called him a loser, they called him a loner. Every day for 1 year straight. Well, 6th grade rolls around, and in this city, they put all the middle schools into one big middle school. So the student population size skyrocketed. And my friend's popularity dropped because he kind of got lost in the crowd. First day of 6th grade comes around, and he's forced to sit alone at lunch too. And guess who he has to sit next to? The person that he put down. So he sits down next to the guy, and the kid looks at him, and he says, "It sucks, doesn't it? It sucks, doesn't it?" Now he felt a little bit how this person felt. And my friend, just to kind of redeem himself, he became a youth worker, became healed to help people that were in that same position. There was this counselor one time, she got on the microphone. She came up just like I'm still talking like I am now. She came running over, she said, "Mr. Peace, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but I just got to share something with these students." And she got on the microphone, she said, "My most painful memory was 30 years ago. 30 years ago. She was in 7th grade. And a group of popular girls came up to her right before lunch. Her first name was Kate. They said, "Hey, Kate, you can sit with us today at lunch." She's like, she was kind of average in terms of being popular. She's like, "Are you serious? Like, for real?" They're like, yeah. Come on and sit with us." She's like, "Okay." So she gets her lunch from the lunch line, her tray, and she goes over to the girls. And as soon as she sits down, every one of them stood up at their tables in the cafeteria, and they shouted across the lunchroom so everybody could hear them. And they said, "Hey, everybody, check out Kate. She can't even afford nice clothes." And she dropped her lunch tray and ran out crying. You see, Kate's parents didn't have a lot. Sometimes she had to wear the same outfit twice a week to school, and she was teased because of that. Well, she became a middle school counselor years later so that her students would never have to go through what she went through. She became healed. Guys, I had a teacher. I had a 4th grade teacher come up to me one time in front of everybody, said, "My most painful memory was 40 years ago in 4th grade. Her name was Elizabeth. The teacher brought her to the front of the class, the teacher, and said, "Hey, class, we got to teach Elizabeth how to do math because she's too stupid to do it herself." Seriously. And she just broke down. Well, she became a 4th grade teacher, so that would never happen to her class. Then I had this 3rd grader named Dominic come up to me. I'm checking out in the school at an elementary in Michigan. I'm signing out for the day. And he comes up to me and said, "Hey, Mr. Peace, do you want to know when my most painful memory was?" I said, "Yeah, tell me." He said it was 2 years ago in 1st grade. He had his heart crushed by this girl. Had his heart broken. And so I'm thinking to myself, maybe they were dating, kids are starting to date younger and younger. Was it Facebook official? All these thoughts are going through my mind, and it turns out that's not what it was at all, though. There was a 5th grader on the bus, and for 2 months straight, 2 months in a row, every day, she would turn to Dominic, a 5th grader to a 1st grader. So think about the impression level, right? How much you look up to them, literally. And this 5th grader said, "Dominic, you're never going to have any friends. You're never going to have any friends." And Dominic told me, he said, "Mr. Peace, it felt like my heart broke into a billion pieces." He said, "I cried myself to sleep that night. I didn't even want to come to school anymore." He said, "Mr. Peace, it hurt so bad, I almost felt like I didn't want to be born." But then Dominic said something that I'll never forget. He said, "But you know what, Mr. Peace?" I said, "What?" He said, "Now I have best friends. Now I have best friends." How many of you guys have best friend? All right, hands down. Now listen, I want to know a couple answers why that person is your best friend. How come? Teachers included. Why is that person your best friend? So you know her since preschool, she's funny. Everybody give me 5 so I can hear. Yeah. They're loyal. Yeah. Always there for you. They always got your back. What else? Best friend? So they're very nice to you, very kind. What else? Best friend? Yeah. How come? She always stands up for you, doesn't lie to you. How come? Accepts you. What else? She's amazing in every way. Makes you feel better if you're feeling down. Yeah. Understands you. She helps you. Yeah. They care for you. Can you come up here for a second? What's your name? Come up here for a second. Give him a round of applause. I want you to tell me your name again. Desmond. Nice to meet you. I want you to tell them what you just told me, why that person's your best friend.
He's my best friend. Damari's my best friend because when I came to the school last year, I didn't know anybody, and he just decided to be my friend.
Awesome. Give him a round of applause. Thank you. So listen. People are saying this is my best friend because they're loyal, they got my back, I trust them, they're kind to me, they include me, they welcome me, even when I was the new person in town, right? How come nobody said it's because how much they have or don't have, how much money is in their pockets, whether they have the PS4, the Wii U, Xbox One, iPhone 8, I'm just joking, it's not out yet. But how come nobody said those things? Why? Why nobody say that? Yeah. Doesn't matter? What else? How come? Why nobody say that stuff? Yeah. So if it's just the best friend because of the things, it's not really a true friend, right? Anybody else? Yeah. So accept them for who they are and not what they have. Guys, hands down. Listen. Think about this, Elyria. If we treated everybody like we treated our best friends, do you think we would still have bullying happen? No. Some people say yes. How come? So you might treat someone nice, but maybe before that they were treated poorly, right? But if they're going to treat you like your best friend, somebody that's been there through everything, even if you get in some arguments or fights, you still work it out because you're best friend, right? Because you see this first, right? I was at a school, and after my assembly, this girl came up to me. Her first name was Cheyenne. Cheyenne is the capital of? Not Montana. Wyoming. Nice. That's a geography lesson for you guys for free. You're welcome. But listen, Cheyenne came up to me after my talk. She said, "Hey, Mr. Peace, there's a girl that moved here to our school this past fall, and she's in a wheelchair for life. She's in a wheelchair permanently." And she said, Cheyenne, even though her friends told her, don't talk to her, she's different, she's weird, even though her friends told her that, she still went up to her and said, "Hey, do you want to be my friend?" And the girl said, "Yeah." And ever since that day, on lunch, recess, gym, library, everywhere, Cheyenne includes her, guys. And then she said something to me, this 5th grader, like the wisdom. She said, "Mr. Peace, when I see her, I see this before this. I see her heart before this piece of equipment." There's this speaker named Nick Vujicic. Everybody say Vujicic. Say Vujicic. I know, it's fun. Nick Vujicic, guys, he's from Sydney, Australia. He's this tall. He was born that way. He's got no arms, no legs. That's how he was born. He just got married 3 years ago. They just had their 2nd child. No arms, no legs. He's a speaker. He goes around and talks at schools. And he was bullied a lot growing up, too. But guys, Nick was speaking in a gymnasium about this size, except this one had bleachers on both sides. And at the end of his assembly, as the students were exiting, as they were leaving, this mom and her 3-year-old daughter that were watching the assembly, she let her 3-year-old daughter start to run around. And this 3-year-old, we kind of know what 3-year-olds do, she did whatever she wanted, right? She started like twirling and doing cartwheels and jumping jacks and like skipping and like floating and, right? And so eventually though, she's running full steam in Nick's direction, and he can't get out of the way because he's got no arms and legs. And they're about the same height. And she's running like full steam right at Nick, right? And she's like not even looking. The last second she catches him out of the corner of her eye and slams on the brakes. And her and Nick are nose to nose. And this 3-year-old is looking him up and down, and she's like, what's going on here? Like she's never seen anybody without arms and legs. But her next move, without really thinking, right? She puts both of her arms behind her back like this, and she hugs him with her neck like this. And it was so beautiful, guys, because she didn't care how tall he was. She didn't care whether he had arms or legs. She didn't care about the brand name on his clothes, the Abercrombie, the Aeropostale, the Old Navy, the Under Armour A, the Victoria's Secret pink A, even though a lot of it's not that color and it says pink on the clothing A. He didn't care. She didn't care about any of that. She just cared about this. But see, guys, it takes a lot of guts, a lot of courage to be able to still show love to people that hurt us, to be able to forgive them. It's the biggest thing that they need. I was talking at a school, a middle school, and a couple months later, I got an email from this kid named John, a 7th grader. He said, Mr. Peace, earlier today, this bully tripped me in the hallways. He said this bully tripped him in the hallways, so he fell down, right? And he gets right back up, and he walks over to the bully, and he shakes his hand, and he smiles, and he says, have a great day. And he walks away. And this bully's mouth just drops. And everybody in the hallway watching, their mouths drop. Because see, this bully, he was expecting tears. He wanted him to fight back, and he chose the opposite. He gave this person that's hurting inside the biggest thing that he needed, love. And the bullying stopped because he took away the bully's power over him, and he gained it back for himself. But you see, sometimes it doesn't stop, and we have to get help from an adult, from a teacher, somebody, guys. I had an 8th grader come up to me after one of my talks. Said, Mr. Peace, I'm going to send you a message tonight. There's some stuff going on. She didn't trust anybody else, even her parents. They kept telling her just to deal with the bullying. They had to go through it when they were her age. But it was one of her exes, and he was making fun of her in the hallway in front of everybody, calling her all these names. It was getting really serious. So I forwarded on to a counselor, and she brought him, her, and a police officer into the office because it was getting that serious. And they ended it right there, guys. 2 weeks later, I came back for lunch, and this girl's name was also Elizabeth. She came up to me crying and said, Mr. Peace, you saved my life. And a lot of people will say that that's tattletaling or something, like if they go and get help. But when it comes to your safety or your well-being, your life, you can never tell me that it's tattletaling. And guys, look, it takes extreme courage and guts to stand up for what's right, to say what's right. If you see somebody or yourself getting put down, harassed, teased, bullied. The biggest act of courage that I ever got to witness was at a school in California. There were 2,000 students. 2,000, so about 10 times this school, right? And this gym was like 8 times this size. And guys, at the end of the assembly, there was an open mic, and you could come share what's on your heart. And this girl, she started walking to the mic, and people started laughing. She was the laughing stock of the school. She was born with one leg shorter than the other, so she kind of had a limp like this. And she had a learning disability, so she was a little bit slower mentally. She was always getting teased. And she got on the microphone. And the first words out of her mouth, she says, "I like boys." And everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, what are you doing? You're embarrassing yourself. You're embarrassing me. Sit back down." And she keeps saying, "No, I like boys. I love boys." And people are laughing so hard, like they're just like their sides are starting to hurt. They're like rolling over in their seats, right? They're starting to tinkle their pants a little bit. They're laughing so hard. And these people, and she keeps saying, "I love boys." And then she says, "And I love that boy." And she points, guys, to the star football player of the school. Guys, listen, this guy's California dream boy. He's got like golden Hercules locks like flowing down his backside. And this guy, he's an ESPN top 100 recruit, 5-star All-American. This guy's so cool, it's like Moses in the Red Sea. Like when he walks through the hallways, they just part because he's so cool. He walks, people are like, "Ooh, ah." And they just part. Guys, he's 200 pounds, like pure muscle, pure steel, kind of like my figure. And this guy, she points to him. And right then and there, at this point, teachers are laughing. Everybody's laughing at this girl. But right then and there, he has a choice on whether he's going to join in on the laughter or do something to potentially save a life. So in front of 2,000 of his peers, right, staff, teachers, he stands up. Bleachers part. He runs down, he runs over to the stage, and he scoops this girl up, and he twirls her around, and he sets her back down, and he gives her one of the biggest hugs she ever had in her life. What happened next, it took 3 hours. For the next 3 hours, every one of those 2,000 students and teachers that were just putting her down, they came up one at a time to give her the same type of hug. It took 3 hours. You guys can't begin to imagine the impact that this had on this girl's life from that one act of courage. School in Utah, this boy got on the microphone. He had a cephaletic head, Soto syndrome, which means his head was bigger proportionally than the rest of his body. He got on the microphone, and the first words out of his mouth, he said, "I didn't mean to be born like this. I didn't mean to be born like this. I need friends. Will somebody be my friend?" And his sister sitting in the back, she stood up, and she ran over to him, and she hugged him. And it started the same chain, just like in California. I got so many stories like that, guys, where somebody risked getting bullied themselves, judged themselves, ridiculed themselves, harassed themselves, put down themselves, just to include somebody into this world that otherwise would not be included. Not because they felt sorry for them or felt pity or shame, but because they want to welcome them, give them a little sense of normalcy that so many of us take for granted. They risked everything. And that's beautiful. But it's all a choice. I spoke at this elementary. I came back a week and a half later to have lunch with the students after spring break. And this little first grader, probably this tall, sees me from across the lunchroom and just starts screaming. He's like, "Mr. Peace! Oh my gosh, Mr. Peace, my boy, come here, Mr. Peace, come on." And his first name's Trey. And I said, "Okay, I'm coming." And he's like, "Mr. Peace, it's you." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." And he's like, "I got to tell you something, Mr. Peace. Do you remember when you were speaking to us before spring break about treating people with love and kindness and respect and compassion?" I said, "Yeah." He said, well, I went home that night and I told my dad to start treating me, my mom, and my sister with more kindness, respect, and love. And he told me that his dad looked at him and said, you don't ever talk to me like that. You don't ever talk to me like that. I'm an adult. Pushed him aside and he walked away. And Trey came back to school and he was enraged. This little 6-year-old, right? His face was turning beet red. He said, Mr. Peace, people are going to feel how I feel. People are going to feel my pain and how my heart is hurting. And I look at Trey, guys, and our eyes are locked. And I see like a tear coming down his cheek. And I say, Trey, you still have a choice to treat your sister with love and to be a great son, a great brother, and one day if you choose to break that cycle, a great father. Our eyes are locked. And I'll never forget his next words to me. He says, I like chicken. I said, what? He said, yeah, Mr. Peace, I love it. They're serving chicken tenders for lunch today. Like, you got to try them, Mr. Peace. And I'm like, okay. But I came back 2 weeks later. This first grader's mind was on to the next topic already. But I came back 2 weeks later. He comes running up to me again and said, Mr. Peace, I'm choosing to treat people with love and respect and compassion. He's 6 years old. Guys, that has to give us hope. That if a 6-year-old can do this, make this choice to become healed, to heal other people, think about what we can do. And look, the need is beyond there, guys. We see it in the news. I don't have to explain things to you. When that cup overflows, a lot of times it's onto other people. And we see that too often. But a lot of times the reason we don't even notice that somebody walking right next to us or sitting right next to us in the hallway is feeling so alone is because we got so much going on in our hearts too. Guys, it never fails, no matter what size of crowd that I'm speaking to, whether it's this size, sometimes 3,000 at once, there's always a couple people that are cracking jokes, laughing throughout the talk, and you guys know who you are, because it's been happening today. But you know what? I get it. Because when I was in middle school and high school, I was the guy in the audience putting the speaker down. I was the class clown. And I did it because I felt so alone and so empty in here. And I needed anything to fill that void. But those are the same people that after I get done spilling my guts and sharing with you guys all that I have, all that I am, they're the same people come up to me after my talk and say, Mr. Peace, thanks for being here today. Thanks for touching my heart. See, guys, I get too many stories of kids that get their lunch out of the lunch line, and they walk straight to the bathroom, and they eat their lunch alone in a stall for weeks, and people don't even notice them because we got too much going on in here. The need is there. This story proves that. It's called the Teddy Stollard story. I know I'm almost out of time. But listen to this story. It's a true story. Teddy Stollard certainly qualified as one of the least. Disinterested in school, wearing wrinkled clothes, hair never combed. He was one of those kids in school with a deadpan look, an expressionless, unfocused stare. When Miss Thompson, his teacher, spoke to Teddy, he always answered in monosyllables. He was unattractive, unmotivated. He was just plain hard to like. Even though his teacher said she loved all in the class her same, deep down she wasn't being completely honest. See, when she got Teddy's papers, when she marked the wrong answer, she got a certain pleasure of putting big X's next to them. And when she put F's on his paper, she did it with a red pen and with a flare. But she should have known better. She had Teddy's records. She knew more about Teddy than she wanted to admit. The records read, first grade, Teddy shows promise with his work and attitude, but poor home situation. Second grade, Teddy could do better. Mother is seriously ill. He receives very little help at home. Third grade, Teddy's a good boy, but too serious. He's a slow learner. His mother died this year. Fourth grade, Teddy's very slow but well behaved. His father shows no interest. Christmas came. The boys and girls in Miss Thompson's class brought her gifts. They piled them on her desk, crowded around her to see her open them. Among the gifts was one from Teddy. She was surprised that he brought one, but he did. And his was wrapped in brown paper with a piece of Scotch tape that said, "For Miss Thompson." When she opened Teddy's present, out fell a gaudy rhinestone bracelet with half the stones missing and a bottle of cheap perfume. Kids started laughing, but Miss Thompson at least had enough sense to silence them by immediately putting on some of the perfume and the bracelet and holding it up, saying, "Doesn't it look lovely? Doesn't it smell lovely?" And the children, taking their cues, agreed with oohs and ahs. At the end of the day, though, when school was over, Teddy stayed behind. He came over to Miss Thompson's desk and said softly, Miss Thompson, you smell just like my mother. And her bracelet looks really pretty on you, too. I'm glad you like my gifts." When Teddy left, Miss Thompson got down on her knees and asked for forgiveness. And the next day when the kids came to school, they were welcomed by a new teacher. Her name was still Miss Thompson, but she was a different person. She was not just a teacher anymore, but an agent of love. She was now a person committed to loving all the kids in her class the same, doing things that would live on after her. She helped all the kids, especially the slow ones, especially Teddy. And by the end of the school year, Teddy showed dramatic improvements. He had caught up with most of the kids in his class, was even ahead of some. She didn't hear from Teddy for a long time. Then one day a letter came. It said, "Dear Miss Thompson, I wanted you to be the first to know I will be graduating second in my class from high school. Love, Teddy Stollard." 4 years later, another note came. "Dear Miss Thompson, they just told me I'll be graduating first in my class. I wanted you to be the first to know. The university hasn't been easy, but I liked it. Love, Teddy Stollard." And then 4 years later, "Dear Miss Thompson, as of today, I am Theodore Stollard, M.D. How about that? I wanted you to be the first to know. I'm getting married next month, the 27th to be exact. I want you to come and sit where my sister would have sat, my mother would have sat, if she were still alive. You're the only family I have now. Dad died last year. Love, Teddy." Miss Thompson went to that wedding and sat where Teddy's mother would have sat. She deserved to sit there because she did something for Teddy that he could never forget. And guys, that's what all of us are called to do, is to leave marks on other people's hearts. Sometimes you won't be able to see these, but feel them. You all have that power. And sometimes it only takes 2 seconds. I'm almost out of time. If you were inspired by just something today, something struck a heart chord, just please raise your hand. I saw some tears today too, guys, and tears are strength. They're the sweat of your strength. They're healing too, right? So I appreciate that too. But if you were touched, inspired today, then that means that I gave you a gift. I was able to give you a gift in a short amount of time. And now it's your job to go and give that gift to somebody else. Because if I'm able to do something like this in 45 minutes, think about an entire school year, an entire lifetime, guys. The impact you can have on someone else's heart, on their life, if you keep yours open too. Right? Before I leave today, I got some CDs for you guys. They're all $20 each. I'm just joking, they're free. And these are some CDs, some of the songs that I do for some of my assemblies. They're all positive lyrics. They're all hip-hop. Next time I come, I'm going to do some freestyling with your principal and with your gym teacher. But, guys, when you leave, if you want to take one, please take one. Also, I got my cards here, Mr. Peace, on the back is all my social media, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Mr. Peace 101. You guys can watch some videos. Instagram, Mr_Peace_Geese. Why geese? Why not? But my website's on there, my email address. If you choose to reach out to me if something's on your heart, I don't always get back to you right away, but I always get back to you. It's a promise. It might take me a while sometimes because I'm on the road a lot, but I always get back to you. And I don't have all the answers. I just try to reflect what you guys already know, that you're all miracles. But it doesn't matter if every one of these 200 people surround you, 250, and tell you how beautiful you are. It doesn't matter unless you buy it yourself. So before you leave, guys, make sure that you at least say bye to me, give me a high five, a hug, and I appreciate you guys touching my heart today. Thank you for your time.